Hello, everybody. How are you tonight? We finally have Jim on. I hope everybody's doing well. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Barbara. All right. Hi, Judy. All right. Hi, Jermaine.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can. Some reason you're having problems with your volume. Can't hear you again. Well, anyway, he'll probably go in and out. Good. Hi, Julianne. I'm glad you're doing well. Hi, Jermaine. All right, I'm just going to say hi, Sandy. Hi, Barbara. Judy. Hi, Jermaine. Hi, Julianne. Oh, good. I'm glad you're doing well. Jermaine. All right. I didn't go live Thursday night on Facebook. I think it's because I just
Yeah,
got
I don't know
caught
what's
up.
going on. Can't hear me.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Let me see them headphones again. Okay, yunk.
Okay. I can hear you fine. I don't know where. Hi, Jimmy. How are you? Judy says it's nice to see you, Jim. His phone might go in and out.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Rita. Just woke up. I'm on meds and they make me sleep. Hope everyone's doing good. I'm doing good. The reason why I did not go on Thursday night is I am now dog sitting and I just got preoccupied. There's a lot going on. Next week, I probably will not be on Thursday night on Facebook again. There is a vacation week, so we've been just a little busy this past July, but it should be back on normal. So anyway, it should be back on at the beginning of the month, like normal.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Rita, I'm hoping you're doing better. I see you're still kind of suffering. Nice to see you guys here too. So we have a lot to cover. This chapter is going to be, I think, multiple episodes. It is about television and other media that question Elvis's death. She does reveal movies as well and TV programs that either question Elvis being alive or hint that Elvis is alive. So there are some TV shows here that, of course, I don't have clips for, but I'm sure a lot of people can remember some of them. So I'm going to read like maybe 3 or 4 pages of the chapter, and then I'll cover the rest next week. So I guess I'll start reading, and then we'll pick up where we left off on discussions later. Make sure that's here. Okay, so I ended there. All right. I'm just going to do this for now. Okay. So the question is, she says, I keep reading between the lines. That's from Goodman Ace. She says, a question. What other segments of media besides the press, radio, and books have questioned Elvis's death? Long before the book Is Elvis Alive was released, the validity of his death has been raised in print, both in nonfiction and fiction, especially since the release of Is Elvis Alive has a death question moved into television, the movies, cartoons, popular slogans, etc. So television has been interested in Elvis's death since the late 1977, and fans been have kept me appraised. Okay. So one fan wrote about an episode on the new CBS Twilight Zone series. I don't know if any of you remember that series.
No, I don't.
Aired September 27th, 1986. It was entitled The Once and Future King. And it was about Elvis with the cooperation of his estate. In the plot, an Elvis impersonator went back in time, met Elvis, accidentally killed him, took his place in history. Another fan informed me of the HBO Kids in the Hall did a sketch in 1989 about Elvis as a landlord. Did you note on Roseanne, the ABC Roseanne TV show, that Elvis was spotted in Montana? Elvis is mentioned as being alive on a lot of her shows, as she has the collector's dish Elvis at the gates of Graceland hanging on the wall. I don't remember. I mean, Roseanne, that was a long time ago. Maybe some people might remember those little phrases or whatever that she used to say. Similarly, a fan has asked, have you noticed that on Designing Women, and that's in CBS, Arlene mentions Elvis being alive quite often? It was also told that on a Coach episode, Jerry Van Dyke was convinced that he had found where Elvis was hiding out, and he wears a button that says, "The King Lives." And it appears Canon Television's DC Follies, which features characters of living people, has had Elvis on one of its shows. What's more, NBC's True Blue has featured an Elvis fanatic holding a young woman hostage in a music store, threatening to shoot her unless the store provides his idol, Elvis. An Elvis fan has told me that NBC's Hogan family has Mrs. Poole walking into the room saying, "Oh, it just gives me the creeps." To which Mr. Hogan responds, "You don't really believe that stuff, do you, Mrs. Poole?" Mark and David ask, "What are you talking about?" And Hogan answers, "Mrs. Poole is reading Is Elvis Alive?" The book is seen, and Mrs. Poole continues, "Well, I'm not saying I believe or don't believe. It's just very interesting." I found the January 1989 Elf show on NBC interesting, wrote a fan. It was called Suspicious Minds. Elf believes his mysterious neighbor, Aaron King, is really Elvis Presley. On the show, Kate responds, "Elf, let's assume for a moment and just a moment that Aaron King is Elvis Presley. What do you think he'd want you to do?" Elf answers, "He'd want me to leave him alone." I think I kind of remember that episode. It was a long time ago, but yeah. Another fan noticed on Elf that Aaron King goes around wearing a baseball cap. Now, Gail says, "I remember hearing that some of those who spotted Elvis said he was wearing a baseball cap." And another asked, "Did you note that NBC's showing the wickedest witch came from the creator of Elf? Upon her looking into the magic mirror for truth comes this answer: I know where Elvis is." It is strange that January 1989 Elf show mentioned above listed the cooperation of Elvis Presley estate, since the show ends with Elvis being alive and the estate does not accept this. I've received countless letters that soap operas such as NBC's Days of Our Lives are using the hoax death idea, and that many have seen as a connection with Elvis. From the Johnny Carson, I'm told, to Arsenio Hall to David Letterman shows, the Elvis is Alive theme is being mentioned, albeit tongue in cheek. So most movies that have had a connection with Elvis, his life or his death, have been Orion productions. Let's begin, however, by examining some non-Orion films that fans have admired and commented on. In 1979, the movie Game of Death was released by Columbia Pictures as a Golden Harvest film. An Elvis fan, Linda S. of Maiden, North Carolina, wrote what she was totally shocked that I viewed the video of the Bruce Lee movie Game of Death. This was Lee's last movie. In fact, he died mysteriously while making the movie, and it was completed many years later with a stand-in. The movie is about a world-famous entertainer who is being exploited by the syndicate. He decides to fight the syndicate, gather information, etc. Then, when his life is threatened, he is shot, fakes his death, and with the help of his doctor and close friend, false death reports are issued. There is a death announcement and the world mourns. Sounds interesting. Have you ever seen that movie, Game of Death? I never saw it.
I saw it. Hey, Joey,
Yeah?
I'll give people a little bit more tidbit. You've heard of F. Lee Bailey, the attorney, ain't you? The one that represented O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
You know he had the evidence to prove to the world Elvis was alive, and EPE shut him down.
Yeah, I bet. I have one clip from Elvis Found Alive, but I'll share that after. Anyway, the body is put in display in an open coffin. Thousands and thousands of fans pass by, crying, lamenting. Headlines across the world mourn this man. However, the body in the coffin is a dummy. The entertainer goes underground in order to continue his work on gathering information on the syndicate. He gets into karate. He goes around in various disguises: white hair, beards, sunglasses. Those closest to him do not even know the truth. He fears that if they knew the truth, their lives would be in danger. But eventually, people who knew him begin to suspect. Finally, the syndicate gets wind of the rumor through a number of circumstances, sightings, the fact that someone unknown is after them. Late one night, the syndicate goes to the cemetery and exhumes the body, and they discover it is not the entertainer, but a dummy. They go on a search, but in the end, the entertainer wins out, emerges, and rejoins his loved ones.
Pink.
I do not believe what I am seeing. In fact, the open casket scene, the crowds, etc., look as though they were lifted from the events at Graceland. But of course, this could not have been, since the movie was filmed in 1973, during which time Bruce Lee died. I've read many times that Elvis Presley and Bruce Lee were friends, owing to their common interest in karate, kung fu, the martial arts. So Elvis admired Lee, and they had talked, I believe, of going to the movie together. Could this have been the movie? Was it finished in 1977 because Elvis saw it finished? Could it be that Elvis got the idea on how to pull off his own death hoax from this movie?
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else. Elvis and Bruce Lee was good friends.
Yeah, that's what she just said here. It is rumored that Lee has been exploited by the syndicate and that he intended to fight them, and in doing so was murdered. He was only 32. Could it be that Bruce Lee's movie was a message movie? So Chuck Norris and Gig Young were also in the movie, and I've read that Elvis and Priscilla were introduced to Norris by Ed Parker. This connection is too close to be chalked up by pure coincidence. Even Gig Young died a strange death. Well, it's a possibility that, I mean, this movie could have been a big influence on how Elvis was going to plan out his plan here, his fake death plan. In Michael Munn's The Hollywood Murder Case book, the mysterious death of Bruce Lee is explored. Lee, described as a king of kung fu, was considered one of the fittest men in the world who have achieved international superstar status through the star making machine, one of the hottest properties around. MGM was trying to put him into the picture with Elvis, MGM being Elvis Movie Home. So on July 20th, 1973, Lee had gone to bed rather early. He was later found in a coma, barely breathing and with almost no pulse. At 11:30 p.m., at the age of 32, one of the finest honed men in the world was dead, and no one seemed to know why. The autopsy raised questions, but his swollen brain could be attributed to nothing. The brain hemorrhage was a hemorrhage was ruled out, although traces of cannabis around his lodging started a tidal wave of stories about drug abuse. Stories began to be heard that Lee was not dead but would reappear. Still, other reports um, intimated that he was working undercover with the government as a secret agent, or like the character he played in the Game of Death, he had uncovered an international drug ring operating out of Hong Kong. Some had it that he had been murdered by this ring by lethal injection. There is every reason to believe Elvis had seen the unfinished movie sometime in his final year, if not his admiration of Lee, then because his love for the martial arts. If indeed Elvis viewed his situation as similar to Lee's in the movie, the Game of Death becomes even more intriguing, especially the part in which the mob exhumed the fake body, because Elvis, if he related to this movie, he had made certain that no such exhumation would take place. In 1980, Columbia Picture Raystar Production released Touched by Love, based on the book To Elvis with Love by Alina Canada. It is a true story of a cerebral palsy victim, Karen, who, as the film indicates, was locked up in a physical prison. She responds to hearing Elvis's music, saying, "He is so alive and he is good, really nice, so God gave him everything." Karen writes to Elvis, and he is not too busy to care. They become pen pals. Elvis sends her many gifts, and finally, God releases Karen from her prison and takes her home. Filmed by Dr. Gordon Townsend School in Calgary, Canada, it was copyrighted by the Elvis Company. Elvis and Elvis Presley are trademarks of Elvis Presley Enterprises. Elvis's music was played throughout the film, although Karen's relationship with Elvis took place pre 1977. It is interesting that Elvis's later company holds the copyright. Okay. So Elvis's love and caring are so apparent throughout Touched by Love, wrote one fan. A message was apparent. Do not become too busy to care. The main theme, however, was a story of someone who turned her back on the whole world, but through faith and belief in someone came back. Also, did you notice that the production auditor was called Lisa King? My correspondent asked. A documentary type film released by Warner Brothers in 1981, although it was filmed in 1980. This is Elvis, starred Elvis lookalike Johnny Hara. The singing voice was Elvis. Seen on Cinemax, Showtime, and other channels, it prompted a indefinite indefatigable Linda S. to say that she saw a photo of the poster for the film, the words "Intimate Memories and Reflections" in his own words. The docudrama has been seen too in movie houses in this country as well as abroad. The motion pictures Eddie in the Cruisers 1 in 1981, and especially Eddie in the Cruisers 2, build on Elvis's legend and mystery. A fan who lives in Brookings, South Dakota, has written to me about both of them. The first movie is about a rock and roll singer who fakes his death. The second, which opens with an Eddie seen several years after his death. The only thing different about him is a mustache, says an Elvis fan, has several items of interest. Okay, so his name is Joe West, a combination of Joe Esposito and Red West. These are just things that she thinks are coincidences or hints. The film opens with Eddie look-alike contest. Eddie is in the audience, but no one knows him. The mystery tape of songs is found. A tape is analyzed and a huge reward is offered to anyone who can prove that it was made after Eddie's death. Eddie says he is rebuilding his career incognito. Sounds a lot like the Elvis tape. There are sightings of Eddie in 12 states as well as in Paris, France. Eddie says he can't return because they like me better dead than alive. Eddie tells that he left because he believed he was washed up old rock singer. On several fake segments of Larry King Live, women swear they have his children. Eddie has made his albums on Satin Records. Satin was Elvis's nickname for his mother. Okay. Top Secret, a 1984 Paramount Kingsmere film, also aired on cable TV as well as Fox Television, was filmed in England, and was seen by at least one fan. Again, Linda S., who noted how much the picture poked fun of the numerous Elvis 1960s movies, done in a way EP might have seen it, especially in the later years of his movie career. The lead character, played by Val Kilmer, is a rock and roll singer named Nick Revis, who throughout the movie sings Elvis songs while on tour in East Germany, where he gets involved in the rescue liberation movement. There are just a few things worth noting. Okay. At one point, following the underwater fight, Revis waves goodbye using Elvis's familiar hand gesture. Revis finally decides to give up his singing career for a girl he loves. The freedom fighters at this point make an interesting comment. As long as we're here, Revis music, we will never be alone and he will always be with us. Linda wrote that in the last of the credits was a notification that songs recording performed by Nick Revis were available from a record company. I didn't catch the name, in Canada. Recordings by a fictional character. Why not use the actor recording artist's real name? That's interesting. In 1985, a Elvis documentary film, Elvis Presley's Graceland, was seen on cable television and soon became available in video stores. One fan pointed out to me that in it, when Priscilla is explaining about the long white sofa in the living room, she says, "This holds a lot of memories for Elvis and me." Present tense. The film was made with the endorsement of Elvis Presley Enterprises. In 1988, the Touchstone Buena Vista feature film Heartbreak Hotel starred David Keith as Elvis Presley, written and directed by Chris Columbus. It was set in 1972 and filmed on location in Austin, Texas. A small-time rock singer brings home to his broken family a man who turns out to be his mother's idol. The mother was played by Tuesday Weld Presley. Okay. Elvis brings to her and to the family a new sense of hope of life. Yet, according to news from Touchstone Pictures, the Wolf family is not the only one to benefit from the mythical performer's visit. Returned to his roots and removed from the insidious and addictive web of celebrity and that usually surrounds him, Elvis finds himself confronted with some revealing truths about his current status in the world of music and the man he has become in recent years. The film had the support of Elvis Presley Enterprises. In the release of the soundtrack album, Jerry Schilling was thanked, and there was also a special thanks to J.B. and she puts in parentheses, John Burroughs. The title song, Heartbreak Hotel, with the lyrics by Mae Axton and Tommy Durden, had in 1956 been Elvis's first $1 million recording. So those are just some films and TV shows that had a lot of hints about Elvis, questions about Elvis being alive. So I think I'm gonna do one. Huh?
That movie Game of Death didn't come out till June 9th of 79.
Yeah. But it was I think it was like finished.
Yeah, they had majority of it finished in 73. When he died, he was done filming. He was just going through getting the film ready for the theaters and stuff.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to put a clip from. Hold on, I'm going to make all right, I'm going to put a clip in from Elvis Found Alive, and this is a clip where he tells Joel Gilbert about the movies or what he did in entertainment after 1977. So we'll just watch this real quick, and then we'll open the floor for discussion.
Could perform my music live or star in a film. But you know, it's like the old song.
Hold on, let me go back. All right,
in the
here we go.
entertainment business in the last 34 years.
Well, there's no way I could perform my music live or star in a film. But you know, it's like the old song, there ain't no business like show business. So I wrote a movie script called Finding Graceland, and Scylla produced it in 1998. It was about myself trying to get back to Graceland, to go home. I had a production company called Boxcar Productions. So Scylla, she let me play the tramp in the boxcar at the end of the picture. Then, I was an avatar. I got to be one of the warriors. I was fighting the bad guys all over again.
I thought you didn't like making movies.
No, I just said I didn't like starring in bad movies.
In the entertainment business in the last...
Okay, so that was a clip about his work in the entertainment industry after 1970, that he only allowed the backlash from your mic. I'm getting a lot of echo from his phone. Anyway, okay, so
Wasn't me. My mic's muted.
yeah, I had to mute your mic real quick because for some reason when I was speaking, it was coming out as an echo on my side. So I muted you for a minute so I wouldn't hear it. Okay. So I know that Linda Hood Sigmund Truth. I'm going to say that she has Linda, I think it's Linda S. I think is Linda Hood Sigmund's Truth. If you go on there and you hit the Orion connection, she has a whole like 5 or 6 pages worth of information and files and backs, like pictures of like the backs of DVDs and stuff on Orion Pictures and the hints in all the movies. And we will be covering some more of that in this chapter. So next week I'll have more, maybe I can do a little more of a presentation or something on that. It'll take me a little while because I'd have to look everything up. But anyway. So now I'm going to go and do some discussions here. Let's see, where were we? Lily. Hi, Lily. How are you? And of course, Jim said hello, hello. Hi, Francis. How are you tonight? Rita says it's been a long time since you heard from me, Jim.
Yeah, she just talked to me today. Ain't been that long.
Yeah. Francis says it's nice to see you back. I know you had problems with the connections or something.
Yeah. At home, I can't be on here unless I'm outside, and I can't do that because mosquitoes will carry you off.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're about to have that happen anyways. Not outside.
Everyone's asking you what you're doing. You're answering them. Yeah, it's good to have Jim back on.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to my buddy in England, old Jason Wilson. He's a huge Elvis fan.
Okay. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Claudette. Julie sounds like Elvis. Well, definitely. He had admitted that movie. He admitted that he did the voice in that movie. He read from a teleprompter and everything. I might have a video about that. I believe it's on this channel. If not, I will set it up. I believe I posted it on the channel. Okay. I have not heard any update. Have you, Jim, heard from him?
Last I heard, he was doing okay, but he's still having trouble with his voice.
Yeah, that's last I heard. Yeah, I looked today and I didn't see anything new. Hello, Coral Moon. How are you? I get a lot of Australia people that come on every week. Yes, I agree. Nan, Storm. What was the movie Jim mentioned?
I lied to you. I did message his son's girlfriend yesterday and asked her how everybody was doing. She said okay, but she didn't go into no detail.
Yeah, that's still his. From the go-between as well. That he was doing.
That movie I mentioned was a Bruce Lee movie called The Game of Death.
Right.
And
that was here in this book.
It was the last movie he made.
Yeah, Bruce Lee. And I think the reason why he mentioned it is because there's a lot of like similarities to Elvis faking his death and so on. So the name of that movie was a Bruce Lee movie she was talking about. It was called Game of Death. It was one of the last movies that Bruce Lee did. Actually, he died while taping that movie. You watched Finding Graceland 2 weeks ago? That's cool. Well, it's a very quick clip, but what I did was I did take a still photo of that at the end of the movie, like screenshotted it, but I couldn't put it on here because it's hooked to my phone and I didn't have time to download it.
Well, I know this. For Priscilla Presley to be behind that movie and all that stuff, and he wrote the script for it, they did a piss poor job finding somebody that resembled Elvis, because that guy that played Elvis didn't look nothing like him.
Nah, I don't know what they were thinking. But there's quite a few movies out there that discuss Elvis being alive.
All the movies about him like that. The actor don't look like Elvis. The only actor that ever looked like Elvis in any movies was that movie with Kurt Russell in it, where Johnny Harris played the older Elvis.
Yay. And but there were some that actually cover Elvis being alive. Like, what was it called? Elvis Lives. That was a weird movie. And the guy didn't like him.
But if you watch that movie, remember the FBI agent Tony said, "We're going to change your name," and he says, "What's my name?" He said, "Jesse Presley."
Yeah. So,
that's like the Austin Butler movie. Don't get me wrong, Austin did an awesome job, but like I told Christy, I said if they'd have casted his son in that movie, that would have been a lot better movie, because his son looks just like him almost and sounds almost like him. They wouldn't even need to train him to sing.
Austin Butler did a great job.
And I don't know. They might have offered him that part in that movie and he turned it down. I don't know, but
we don't know.
I do know Aaron likes his privacy. He don't like fame and all that bullshit.
So it's a possibility that maybe keep getting out. Just mute you real quick and then put. Yeah, thank you. I keep getting an echo. I know that there's a lot of clues in some of these movies, so I'm thinking, is there a possibility that he might have had a hand in writing some of these? Because he said he was a ghost writer.
Well, that one audio clip I sent you where he's talking to that girl, he talks about all them movies that he was involved with. Home Alone, Free Willy, the Pink Panther movies, all kinds of movies he said he was involved in.
Okay. So there's a possibility that there are a lot of the Orion movies, which we'll be going over next week, have a lot of shout outs to Elvis, whether it has clues or whether it's just mentioning Elvis. Even there was a current Amazon movie I watched on the Amazon one day. It was actually in Orion Pictures. I think it was like a Christmas one, and they actually mentioned Elvis in it. They actually mentioned Elvis and his Christmas album, that type of thing. And maybe not being alive, but they mentioned him. So, but according to is Elvis alive? She mentioned that there were 7. Actually, even I think even Linda might have mentioned it, which I will cover that. There are 7 owners to Orion. Orion Pictures, and so, which is a record of that somewhere, so we'll figure that out. He maybe he has some stake or stock or whatever in the company, anyway.
Yeah, and Francis asking what's wrong with Elvis's voice. Well, that stroke messed his voice up.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a couple of stroke. He had a stroke a couple of months. Was it a month or two ago? And it
Yeah.
made his voice. Played with his voice. Now I'm not sure if it's the pronunciation of his words or if it's actual voice box. Like my father, when he had COVID, it made his voice hoarser, and he can't get it back. So it's a possibility, you know.
I imagine it's probably not his voice box. It's probably just the way his pronunciation and stuff. He's got to get that back.
Right. Elvis was turned in the movie Lilo and Stitch. I heard also there's something to do with Free Willy, Pink Panther. I heard something like that. Anything Orion. We're going to read some more next week on this chapter. And there were some really
Yeah, it was a Pink Panther movie.
yeah.
Home Alone. He said he wrote the script for the Castaways movie with Tom Hanks, where he's on that island.
Return of the Living Dead, and there's a lot going on with that, and RoboCop 1 and RoboCop 2.
Yeah, them are all Orion movies.
Yeah, and also it was the song Farewell to the King, which we had mentioned that before. I think Linda might have mentioned that, but I will do some clips and stuff if I can find it over the week, and when we do cover that in this part of the chapter, we can cover some of that. Linda has like I said 4 or 5 big long pages of all different movies that have something to referencing to Elvis either being alive or Elvis faking his death or music dealing with Elvis, like Elvis related movie. And we know that the Great Balls of Fire movie, I think by Jerry Lee Lewis, I think that's what it was called, has a lot of Elvis in it too. He is mentioned everywhere. Yes, and I mean, I don't know if anyone remembers the Roseanne show where she mentioned him being alive. I don't remember it. It was a long time ago, back in the 80s, but it was during the late 80s when Roseanne was out on the and the Elf show. I remember the Elf show, but not completely. I mean, it's 89, so there was a lot going on that year for me, but yeah. It's quite interesting, some shows. I hope he doesn't permanently lose that beautiful voice. Me neither. I'm going to say that a lot of times I think it might have something to do with his pronunciation, though, because if his mouth is like, like droops, or you want a feeling in your cheeks. Some people, strokes like that.
Yeah, and you don't get over them strokes overnight.
No, they take a while. I meant to say mentioned not turn sorry typos. That's all right, no problem. Oh wow, I'm sorry he's going through this. Glad he's still with us though. Yes, we are so glad that he's still with us. He's dealing with, he's 90 years old, so he's gonna have a lot of health problems. He's not a healthy man. Bonnie McDowell had a stroke and has had to have some surgery. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I hadn't heard how Ronnie's doing.
Yep. So it's not impossible. All right. Do you have any more comments or? Okay. Well, if you don't have any more comments, I will play this song as we get off, and all of you have a great day, and we'll talk next week. Meanwhile, I'm going to finish and close out the show with "We Consider Baby" by Civil Nora, and any other comments after the song is done, I will address, and then we will sign off. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and enjoy. Okay. can't do it that way. Sorry. Give me 1 second. Nah, I changed my mind. I'll just play this
I
one
was
instead.
dead when you found me. No love flowed through my veins. No sign of hope around me. Then I felt my heart beat again. Then you told me that you loved me, and my eyes came open then. Then you touched me, and Lord have mercy, you brought me back to love again. Oh, resurrection, by sweet affection, you brought me back to love again. And now I'm dying to go on living, and I'm giving you all the love I can. Oh, resurrection, by sweet affection, you brought me back to love again.
Yeah. And not a joke. That's the story.
Go on living, and I'm giving you all the love I can. Yes, I'm ready to go on living, and you're the reason why. Your sweet love made me immortal, and heaven waits on the
Then
other
prayer
side.
for
Oh, resurrection, by sweet affection, you brought me back to love again. And now I'm dying to go on living,
Our great
and
day.
I'm giving you all the love I can. Oh, resurrection,
No
by
problem.
sweet affection, you brought me back to love again. And now I'm dying to go on living, and I'm giving you all the love I can. Resurrection, my sweet affection.
Actually, I think that was the whole song. That's good. All right. Guys, have a great night. God bless y'all. We'll talk to you next week at 8 o'clock my time, Eastern Standard Time, for the next half of this chapter. And you guys have a great night. Bye. Jim, stay on with me, please.
All right.